Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In tonight's video, I'm going to be going over an overview of a new pistol that I just bought not too long ago, and it is the CZ P-10F Optics Ready, or OR. Yeah, the CZ P-10 series of pistols have been out for several years. There is a ton of videos out there, so it's not going to be diving too much into it because there is, for one, a lot of more in-depth info out there and experience with the CZ-P10s than I have, and especially since I haven't even shot this thing yet. So this is just an overview and also kind of like a side-by-side because I am really a Glock guy. I'm not entirely new to CZs. Just give a little background on myself. Historically, for many, many years, I was actually a Springfield Armory XD and XDM guy. Those were I first got into them when the XD45s first hit the market, and I liked them so much because I was actually very anti-Glock. I had the same attitude towards Glock as I kind of do towards Apple products. Just that everybody loved them so much, I wanted to do something a little bit different. The XDs, every time a new polymer gun comes out, a lot of people like to say it's the Glock killer or whatever it may be. And the XD, which started off as the Croatian HS2000, did have some history with it, with the Croatian military. So I jumped on board with them. Had many different versions over the years, the XD45 being the first. They had the 9mm full size, compact size. Had XDS was my carry for many years. And I want to say that going back into about 2016, 2017, I got my first CZ, which was the P09. P09 is a full size gun, very similar size frame as the Glock G17, though it is hammer fired. Owned that one, liked it a lot, really liked the way it shot. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, really loved it too. Ended up picking up a P07 on the used market. P07 is just a smaller size of the P09. So kind of compare the P09 being the G17 and the P07 being more like the G19 size. But hammer fire looks pretty much almost exactly the same. You got mag compatibility where you can take the larger P09 magazines, put them in the P07 frame. But back then my financial situation was a little bit different. I ended up getting rid of both of those guns over time, though I did really like them. When I started getting back into guns a little bit more, having a little bit more freer money, I did want to get an optics ready pistol. I have a friend of mine who's a really, really big CZ fanboy. He's got many different models. Tried talking me into the P10, I think it was the C optics ready, and I actually ended up going and getting the Springfield Armory XDM OSP, full size 9mm optics ready, came with the plates and all that stuff. And then, as I got a bit more fluent with guns, and then you hear all the stories about XDMs failing and all the failure points, I ended up jumping finally to the Glock ship. So when I first got into Glocks back in, I don't know, I think 2019, 2020, wasn't my first Glock. I had previously owned a G17. I believe it was a Gen 2. I also had a Glock 30 way back in like 2010, something like that, 2011. Didn't own either one of those for very much time and never really got in huge into the Glock scene. But then, back a few years ago, 2019 or so, or maybe it was around COVID time, so maybe more like 2020. I really got into them, and I got many different models. Started off with the Gen 4 G34, then I got a Gen 5 G19, and then I got a Gen 5 G17, 43, 43X, 48. Built a couple Glocks, which I've had previous videos on them. And as time went by, I just it kind of died down a little bit. And actually, I'm not really a big pistol guy. I definitely do feel that they are a necessity. Um, I kept my G17, but I got rid of a bunch of different Glocks. I sold the G34. I sold my G19 that I had milled for an RMR. I sold my two builds, my G17 that was built on the Lone Wolf Firearms or whatever it was frame, and I sold the other one that I had built up. I think I've shown it in some of the videos, and really just kind of whittled it down to my carry Glocks and then my full size G17 right here. This gun right here, see, the gun is empty, chamber's empty. Sorry, chamber's empty. This thing here is my baby. It started life off as a Gen 5 G17. The frame is just an OEM one that I had sent to Hex Precision and had it milled. Added the Parker Mountain Machine barrel and comp. Added some other little doodads on there, Overwatch precision trigger shoe, obviously the Trigicon SRO that I had milled. This was not an MOS model. Really is a shame that Hex Precision went out of business because they did some excellent slide work, as you see here. The pockets, the cuts, the optic, the slide milling. I want to say at the time, all of this was done and refinished in black nitride, and I paid like 175 bucks or 200 bucks. It was absolutely crazy. So this is my baby. Don't really feel the need to have a G19 because the advantage of having a G19 is that you can carry it better or easier. I can't carry double stack pistols to save my life. That's why I carry a G48 or G43 if I'm wearing a little snugger fitting clothes. So there's really no point in having it in my mind. I'm not one of those type of people that collects guns. You know, I sure it'd be great to just keep everything that you ever buy, but you know, funds aren't unlimited. So typically, if I have something that's just kind of sitting in the safe, and then I'm not going to shoot, and I'm not really into anymore, I'll go ahead and get rid of it and free up those funds to go get something else that I'd rather have. But love this gun, still love it to this day. Definitely is my primary go-to, and my wife loves it a lot too. You know, my wife is very small in stature. She's only about 5'3", like 105, 110 pounds. She's got tiny little hands, and she just shoots this thing great. Her 18-year-old daughter, we took her out shooting for the first time a couple months ago. She shot this thing, shot it great. I know there seems to be a lot of times a misconception that with women you should go buy them a smaller gun. You know, buy them a little pocket gun or something like that. Really, the opposite is true. It is easier to shoot a larger frame gun than it is a smaller frame gun for sure. So, wasn't going to really wasn't going to get a whole whiz banged out G17 for the wife, though I was looking around on the market and happened to come across at my local gun shop. They had a P-10F, a used one on sale for about 400 bucks. I ended up missing out on the sale on it, but it kind of caught my attention. And I started looking around and I ended up finding one of these on ARFCOM's EE, as usually find a lot of stuff there. Brand new, $400 ship. So I went ahead and picked it up. So just quickly, the P-10F. It is very similar in size. I assume P10 or F stands for full size. It is very similar in size to the Glock 17. Obviously, with the Parker Mountain Machine comp on there, it's not really a fair comparison overall. But they are very similar in size, where the standard Glock magazine holds 17 rounds. Obviously, this has an extension on it. The P-10F carries 17 rounds, and you can also get extensions on them. Sorry, wrong magazine. Extensions that add another 2 rounds for 21 rounds plus one in the chamber. So that's pretty great. But I came across this gun and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to buy a gun for the wife. She does not carry, but she definitely, wants to have a handgun of her own. So I thought that the P-10F would be a good fit. Um, just like a lot of people out there, went and watched some YouTube reviews on it. You hear like nothing but good reviews on them all over the place. So for the money, I figured I'd go ahead and pick it up. There are other SKU models or SKU models of the P10F OR, which is the optics ready. So it is already milled for an optic. But just like most other models out there from the factory, you do have to have some type of plate that comes with it. They do not include a plate for this. You have to find them on your own or buy them separately. And I don't know if it was just the time that I bought it, this being, I don't know, about a month and a half ago now. But plates are out of stock all over the place. Some of the ones that are made from CZ obviously makes their own. CZ Customs makes some. A&R Design makes one. C&H Precision, they make one, though I heard the quality control in them are pretty spotty. And why they are available, they were readily available. They were also, besides the quality issues, they are also very a bit more expensive than the plates. I mean, already you spend the money on the gun, you're going to be dropping another $50 or $60 on a mounting plate. So, which I'm not hugely against. I would have dropped another 20 or 25 to buy the C&H had it not had the reputation that it does for being kind of spotty with quality control. So I ended up getting actually 2 plates. I got the OEM CZ one for RMR slash 507 slash 508T. And I was only able to actually find it overseas. So I had to order it from Czechoslovakia. And while I was waiting for that to clear through customs, which is like a 2.5 week process, the A&R Designs Anvil came back in stock as well. So I went ahead and picked one of those up, and they actually came both at the same time, and I was able to kind of compare them side by side. One thing I really like about the CZ plate, as you can see, is that it follows the same lines, the slide pretty well, whereas the Anvil did not quite follow that as much. And the fit and finish between them was pretty much the same. So I just kind of had the A&R Design one sitting in a box. Decided to go with a Hollow Sun 508T. You know, me typically, I'm usually more of an RMR or an SRO type guy. But you know, the Hollow Sun 508T, not only have I owned one of these before, one of my other Glock builds, you know, they've known to be a pretty tough optic. So opted to go that route on the wife's gun. The larger viewing glass is definitely over the RMR is helpful, and also having the auto on, auto off function, which I don't really subscribe to 100%, but I know that if my wife needed to grab this in the middle of the night, I am glad to know that the thing is just going to turn on. As far as the weapon light, Streamlight TLR1 HL. Thought about going turbo route on this one, but again, I thought it was just a little bit too much for the wife. One thing that frustrated me a bit about this one is that this, even though it's an optics ready model, they do not have sights that will co-witness once you put on an optic, at least with the 508T, which sits a little bit higher than the RMR, about 10 or 15 thousandths higher. With the OEM sights that came on it, they're pretty much level with the base of the optic right here. So it did me absolutely no good whatsoever. And I did want to find some just regular standard blacked out sights. Typically I go to Dawson Precision for those. I don't, unless I was reading the website wrong, I don't think they make them for the P-10F. So during Black Friday, Night Vision was running a sale, and I was able to get this set here for I believe it was $70. So you got black rear, black serrated rear, and a tritium front. I typically like blacked out ones because again they are just backups. They sit just a little bit higher than what I would ideally like. My ideal height and co-witness is like with my SRO here. As you can see, they're just barely usable. So you get as much of that viewing picture as you can possibly get, but not a huge deal. They didn't offer them in various heights, Night Vision didn't, so I went ahead and just ran with these. So as a Glock guy, and then you know, being that that is definitely my favorite pistol. How does it compare to the Glock 17? At least just from the initial thoughts on it. Again, I have not shot this yet. Being it's my wife's gun, she doesn't have as much free time to get to the range as I do, and I don't want to shoot it before her. But as you can see here, the grip angle on this P-10F is a bit not as steep as you have on the Glock 17. I know a lot of people really kind of complain that that grip angle makes it feel not as pointable, not as naturally pointable. And other people will say by having that more steeper grip on there, it actually helps you mitigate recoil a little bit better. I don't know, but I can tell you that the P-10F does definitely come to point of aim very naturally and very quickly. Ergonomic wise, they do have adjustable back straps just like Glocks do. I'm sorry, different size back straps, just like the Glocks do. To me, in my hands, I really like the way that it feels. My wife really enjoys it also. She echoed the same thing that I said. The grip is near perfect on it. The angle feels perfect. It comes to point of aim very quickly. It's just just holding it and aiming it at something. It's really nice. Something else that the P10s are especially known for is, for striker fire gun, you're never going to get some great trigger. So it's not going to be like a tuned 1911 trigger. It's not going to be that nice crisp Geisley AR-15 trigger. It's always going to be a bit spongy and crappy. But OEM, right out of the box, it feels pretty good. In my Glock 17 here, having the Overwatch Precision Trigger Shoe. While that doesn't do anything for the pull itself, it does change the geometry, which I went through. I had a pretty in-depth video on the Overwatch Precision triggers. If you go back and find it, you go over some of the changes between OEM and the OP, along with having a Overwatch Precision OEM MP3 connector in here. I honestly, you know, again, it's nothing crazy on this Glock trigger, but having those upgrades, the CZ P10 feels pretty much just about as good. Again, if you're expecting to have some match grade trigger out of any striker fire, you're definitely going to be disappointed. But the out of the gate, the P10 has a much better trigger than any Glock trigger that I've ever felt before of any of the models. I don't even have any plans. I know there's kits out there where you can buy upgraded trigger shoes, striker springs, all that stuff. I'm probably not going to do anything to this gun whatsoever, other than what I have done already between adding the optic, the light, changing out the sights. I'm not going to mess with any of it. I feel like I kind of went through a phase with Glocks of doing all these modifications and customizations and whatnot. And I can tell you, at least from the builder side, it's like I have found that you can start messing with the reliability of them, and it's at the end of the day, it's a handgun, and I'm not running it for competition, so I just need the thing to work. So probably not going to do anything to these whatsoever. As far as magazine wise, like I mentioned, this gun, or at least this model, came with 19 rounders. I guess they call these flush fit, even though there is a little bit of a base pad on them. That's something that's pretty cool about them, though, is that besides having 2-round extensions for them, they also share the same mags with the P09. So the wife bought me this is my second P09. She bought it to me for my birthday this past year. This is the suppressor ready model. It comes with 21 round magazines. I had also already bought a couple of spare ones, and I'm not sure how many years back that the P09 started going over to these double slotted magazines that are shared with in compatibility with the P10, so, or P-10F at least. And so what I can use in my P09, I can also use in the P-10F. So I really like that a lot. Something else that I was also pleasantly surprised about was that I did pick up a Tier 1 concealed Centurion holster for my P09 with the Streamlight TLR1. Again, another video that I made that covered this holster. Me being left-handed, it can make it a little bit difficult to find the holsters I need for certain guns. So being that I had one made for my Glock 17 with the break on it in my X300 Turbo, had experience with it before, I went ahead and picked up one of these for my P09. And again, very happy with this one as well. One of the things that I was very glad to see is that it also works with the P-10F. And it works very well. It doesn't feel like you're forcing the gun in there. It doesn't feel any looser. It almost feels like it was made for it. So that was definitely something that I was happy to see. So if you're a CZ fan, or if you're interested in the P10 and the P09, just know, at least with this holster, with the Tier 1s concealed, they do both work with each other. So very happy about that one. Lastly, anybody out there that's currently in the market for a CZ P-10F, or even a C model, which is, again, their compact size model, they do also sell, again, this is the optics ready, they sell a suppressor ready, which is very similar to my P09 here, where it comes with a factory threaded barrel, along with suppressor height sights. Seems kind of backwards to me that they would not include suppressor height sights with this model, but from what I understand, some of the models do, but some of them don't, and I just got the ones that don't. But they do make, besides having just a straight optics ready one and having just a straight suppressor ready one, they make a P10F and also a C model, but a P10F optics ready and suppressor ready. So you are getting the optics cut, you are also getting the threaded barrel, and you are also getting the suppressor height sight. So now that I know that going forward, if I decide to pick one of these up for myself, or maybe even the P10C model ORSR, that may be the route to go, especially if you want to add a red dot to it. And in this case, what I really would have liked to do is by the Parker Mountain Machine comp for this P-10F. According to the PMM website, the only barrels that they guarantee that'll be compatible with is the factory OEM CZ threaded barrel. I can't find any of those to save my life. If any of you have a bead on those, please let me know. I would love to take advantage of one of those. There are aftermarket offerings, but one of the things I found that's the ones that are out there, they are not cheap at all. I mean, I think they're pushing upwards of $300, and then you have to go buy the comp also, and they don't even guarantee it's going to work. And I have ran into that myself. While I got this G17 PMM barrel and comp together, I did try the comp on my G19 Gen 5. I had a Glock OEM threaded barrel for it, and it would not work with that barrel. So I don't know if I really want to take the chance of buying that threaded barrel just to buy the comp to find out it doesn't fit. So maybe a possibility that I do go ahead and buy a P-10F ORSR and then just end up swapping the threaded barrel into my wife's gun and then going ahead and getting the comp for it. Yes, I do have a suppressor that I do run, but shooting pistol suppress is really just kind of a novelty. Not really a big deal to me. I would rather be able to have my put the comp on my wife's gun than be able to run a suppressor. If I do want to run suppress, I'll just run my P09. So for anybody, any of you guys that have been sitting on the fence about trying the CZP-10, at least from the overview and how it handles and how it feels, coming from a hardcore Glock guy, give them a shot. You get a hell of a gun from a hell of a reputable company. And again, you're going to be hard pressed to find any bad reviews of this gun, any of the models, the CZP-10, C, F, S. I don't even know how many different models they have out there. Next video that I have up, finally, once I take this out and let the wife shoot it a little bit and get the red dot zeroed in, uh, again, get some trigger time on it, I'll have a follow-up video, maybe even some shooting vids of us running it. So hope it could be helpful to you guys, and appreciate the views and subscriptions. If you like the video, if you like the content, please like, please subscribe, please share. It helps out with the algorithm. Big thanks to everybody, all my viewers out there, and the people who interact and comment. See you next time.